up, you guys? This is Rob from Plays, and today on the Snapshot, we're going to be taking a look at the Catchmoon chamber, the Gaze chamber, as well as revisiting the Tombfinger chamber. So, as you can see, in my Kitgun collection, I've got 3 out of the 4 available ones. Now, when it comes to the Catchmoon, people have been standing this one hardcore, mainly because of the fact that it's a mini Archoplasmor that you get to customize. However, there are definitely some downsides that I don't feel very many people are talking about, so I feel it kind of necessary to bring y'all back down to earth a bit, because this thing is an absolute beast when it comes to clearing out trash. However, it's not necessarily my favorite of the bunch. Moving along, we have the Gaze, and let me tell you right now, the Gaze are on point. I love this weapon. However, I did have a bit of a kerfuffle constructing it. This thing can be an absolute monster when put together correctly, which isn't necessarily what I did. As many of you guys know, I use a Warframe builder to take the stats of a weapon. I kind of insert that, toss on some test mods to see how it'll end up in the end. And let's just say my brain probably wasn't functioning correctly with all of the Fortuna stuff going on, and I missed one critical issue, which I'm going to go ahead and share with you later so that you guys don't make the same mistake as I do. Moving along, we're going to take another look at the Tombfinger because someone actually went ahead and clarified a mechanic for me down in the comments section of the previous video, and I'm like, ooh, we got to go ahead and talk about that one. Now, as you can see, we do have one last chamber that I have not tried yet, mainly because we only get so much standing in a day, and I do kind of want to hold on to some so that I can move into the highest tier so far. And the Rattle Guts, when I was running the stats on it, did not seem all that impressive. I don't know if anybody else out there has tried out the Rattle Guts chamber, but do me a favor, if you have and you're really liking it, leave a comment down below and let me know how you feel, or if you have tried it and it's kind of just as as I feel like it's gonna be, let me know that as well. Alrighty, so let's kick things off with the Tombfinger real quick and cover the mechanic that was clarified for me by the comments. Now, as you guys know, I did a video on this previously, and I'll go ahead and link that up on top just in case you want to see any further, more in-depth thoughts and see how this performs on enemies, because I really just want to go ahead and focus on the mechanic real quick. So as you can see right here, I've actually got something already set up, because the Tombfinger's projectile is very similar to the Astilla's. Now, if you know the Astilla, basically it fires its projectile forwards and then it has a splashback. It's kind of like a fan AoE. So instead of a traditional AoE where you shoot a target and then you have this circular radius around it that does damage to that target, this one is actually more fan-based. The way that I want to explain it is kind of like if you take a tomato and you threw it up against the wall, it hits the wall and then it splatters in kind of like a fan or cone shape back towards you. That's exactly what's happening here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot the Corrupted Bombard, and hopefully I'll hit the targets to either side of them. So as you can see, it was actually able to hit that target right there because of the fan-shaped projectile. And as you can see, I'm shooting him right here, and none of the other targets are getting hit because they're behind him. What you really want to aim for is a target that is behind other targets in order to get that fan splash. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shoot him here, and we should be able to hit this target there, but not that target back there. So as you can see, boom, we hit these 2 targets, but not that target. Now I'm going to go ahead and shoot this guy again. And as you can see, now he's behind that target and he was able to splash back on that target. Now if I hit this guy, he's able to hit this one here, but not that one back there, because the AoE is that weird fan-based shape. Does that make sense? So hopefully that clarifies it out there for you. As you can see, boom, make some quick work of that and the target in front of it. I think this one might be a little too far away. Yeah, let's push this guy back just a little bit more and get him back into that AoE. It looks like to be about a 3 to 5 meter AoE of fanning. But as you can see right here, if I shoot this guy right here, boom, get a little bit of splash damage. Yeah, I would say that's about like a 3 meter fan, maybe a 5 meter fan if we're being generous. But if you want to take on targets, it's better to shoot the ones from behind rather than the ones up front. So definitely keep that in mind when you are using the Tombfinger. Next up, we've got a fan favorite, the Catchmoon chamber, aka the mini Archoplasmor, but not quite. I've actually gone ahead and paired that up with the Slap Needle Loader as well as the Love Tap Grip. And what this does is it shifts it away slightly from status chance and pushes it more into critical chance. Not completely forsaking status though. As you can see right here, we've got a 28% critical chance and a 2.1 times critical multiplier, and we've got a 17% status chance. This makes it excellent at clearing out trash mobs. However, I am very curious to see if a more balanced build works a bit better on heavy targets. So let's take a look at how this baby performs. Now, as you can see, I've actually pulled up not Billies this time, but a bunch of Corrupted Butchers. And as you can see, straight out of this gate, this thing is excellent at clearing out multiple targets. And here comes drawback number one. Like I said, I was gonna bring y'all back down to earth. This thing has a maximum ammo pool of 70. So this thing better clear out a bunch of targets at once, because if it doesn't do the killing, then you're gonna run out of ammo super duper fast. So I do think that really excels in here. And like I was saying, you know, not every weapon needs to be, you know, a big boss killer. You can do that with your abilities, you can do that with your primary weapon, but it's nice to have something that can clear, and this weapon definitely clears well. So that is definitely one of the big pluses to it. The small ammo pool is the minus. Now let's go ahead and, you know, do what we standardly do here. We grab a Billy and we get to shooting, right? So as you can see, we've got our Bombard ready to go, and now we get to the other issue with this weapon. We call this the mini Arcaplasmor, but it's missing one of the big things that the Arcaplasmor has, which is access to Hunter's munitions. See, with as much crit as this weapon has, man, those slash procs would have been flying with some Hunter's munitions, but unfortunately that's not in the cards for this. And see, for me, when it comes down to Arcaplasmor, the really thing that lets it take on like high level targets is that splash proc for Hunter's munitions. However, you know, our little baby boy right here just ain't cutting it when it comes to that. Now, like I was saying earlier, if you pair this thing with like a Warframe ability, like maybe you get Garuda's ultimate in here and you do some slash procs, oh, this thing is gonna hurt. This thing is gonna hurt because that's basically like Hunter's munitions on a stick. But this in its current form, just as a standalone weapon, not talking about synergies, not talking about anything else, isn't great at taking out single target heavies. And believe you me, and this is the reality of it, some people said the stupidest thing to me in the other video: you never go up against single targets. What are you talking about? Dumbasses, when you use this gun to clear out a group of enemies and all you got is that heavy left, you fighting mano a mano. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you are fighting single targets because you've killed everything else. So let's go ahead and take a look at this build. By the way, if you guys are curious about the name of this, as you guys know, my naming conventions for my kit guns have all been Gaelic deities. This one is the Cerberus, which is a Gaelic god whose name means the shining thrower. Don't you like that? I think that's totally appropriate with this. So as you can see, this is a standard build, and you're probably going to see this build a lot when it comes to my kit guns. It's very crit based, and it's got some status kind of like mixed in. So all in all, we're rocking 84%, but it's 80.4% critical chance and a 73.1% status chance. Pretty nice, but because of the fact that this thing doesn't have a super fast fire rate, the status does hurt it just a little bit. Now, as you can see, I've got hydraulic crosshairs in there. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, you could sub it out for Auger Pact if you really wanted. But I figured that the projectiles on this thing are so big that legitimately what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up getting headshots anyway. So flavor-wise, why not go ahead and get yourself a little bit of a headshot machine, right? So regardless of which one you want to do, Auger Pact or hydraulic crosshairs, both are fine and dandy. Now, I did forget one thing when we're talking about this, because we're talking about projectiles. And the other big downside to this weapon, and I do believe that this was intended for balance, is that if it touches terrain, you ain't hitting the enemy with it. So as you can see right there, even though I'm kind of pointing at the enemy, because of the fact that there's a wall there, it splashes on the terrain and doesn't hit the enemy whatsoever. You gotta make sure that even though it's a wide projectile, even though it's a wide projectile, you got to make sure that you clear terrain completely, or else you're not going to be able to hit your target, right? You don't have this like slim peekaboo that you can do, right? Because you're going to end up hitting terrain instead. So make sure that your projectile will clear that target in order to get it. I have heard as well that you can put a punch through mod in this in order to get it to clear that terrain, but really for me that's kind of a little bit wasted, if I'm going to be honest with you. So definitely keep that in mind when you're playing with your mini Archoplasmor, but not quite. So it's official, I love the gaze. The gaze is on point. The gaze is on fire right now. The gaze is absolutely slaying. Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it would be even better had I built it appropriately the first time around. Not that this isn't a good build. Let me clarify that real quick. So exactly what happened is, as I was on stream, I went ahead and entered all of the information into Warframe Builder, and I basically created like a test build for it to see what the stats were going to turn out in the end. After everything was said and done, we were going to end up with like over 100 critical chance and like over 73% stats. I was like, whoa, that's fantastic. Went ahead and built it without remembering that, oh yeah, beam weapons don't factor status the same way as standard weapons does. And since I was using a blank pistol kind of like framework in Warframe Builder, it didn't translate the same, so the status chance is much lower than I would have liked it to be. However, as you can see here, we're using the gaze chamber with the splat loader and the Rambo grip. The splat actually removes even more status. I think it removes the maximum amount of status and gives it all to critical chance. That's why we've got a 39% critical chance, a 2.3 times critical multiplier, and only 17% status. Now, I feel like if I had gone a little bit more balanced, it would have been even better. However, there is no denying that what you're about to see is kind of sickening, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this baby performs against our good friend Billy over here. And even though I fucked it up, it's still kind of good. It is. I mean, it's pretty nasty, right? It's still pretty nasty. Right there, it is a fairly good killer, and as you can see right here, it's got maximum ammo of 400. So they know that this thing is going to chew through ammo, but at least they gave you a bit of a reserve to deal with it. Now, one of the things that I do kind of want to put out there is I used a different grip than I normally use. Normally, I would use a love tap grip, and that's kind of what I'm thinking I might try to rebuild it with, but you have to know that each of the different grips will actually regulate how long the beam will be. Now, the current beam length that we have on this thing is 37 meters. So you've got 37 meters to work with when it comes to this weapon, and that's absolutely freaking fantastic. But with a love tap grip, you're only getting a 24 meter. So that's like over 10 meters that, you know, you're not getting when it comes to love tap. However, I will say you do get 2 more base damage points. Now, if I was going to say anything, I would suggest going with the love tap grip over the highest tier, because I think the highest tier only gives you 21 meters. The love tap will give you 24 meters, and then the Ramble will give you 37. I'm not sure how many you get with the Gibber, but I'm sure it's over 37. I'm just, you know, I just off the top of my head do not remember what the post said, but you will get a little bit more range with that, but you do sacrifice a lot of DPS. So as you can see right here, I feel like if I had done a little bit more of a balanced build, we would have been able to proc more status a bit quicker. But I mean, there's no denying that this does the job, right? I mean, this does the job on a level 160, and for regular play, you ain't fighting 160s too often, right? So you'll be able to take on pretty much anything in Orbalis with this weapon, and I'm very, very happy with it. So I do have to say, big praise goes out to the gaze, and I must, hold on, let me check the reloads. Tell me that reload animation isn't dope. Let's check the Catchmoon real quick. And by the way, actually, let's go and take a look at the build real quick, because I'm getting distracted. This is actually the second time I've tried to record this video, and as you can hear, my voice is giving out. My voice was giving out in the first one too. So Endovius, for those of you guys who are curious, is the name of this gun, but it also refers to, I believe it is a Celtic god, and I'm looking at the list, whose name means the one who provides heat. And listen, this thing is hot as fuck. So as you can see, it's basically the same build that we had previously, and we are using hydraulic crosshairs in this one. However, if you wanted to go ahead and toss an auger pack in this one, works well too. You don't have to worry about getting the headshots if you don't feel like it. You don't have to worry about being zoomed in. And because of the fact that this is more pinpoint precision than the Catchmoon, this one, you know, you might struggle a little bit more with hydraulic. But regardless, it's gonna be absolutely fantastic in whichever way you decide to play around with it. But let's go ahead and take a real quick look at the reload speed for the Catchmoon, because now I'm curious. Now I'm curious about it. So before we end, I want to see how all of these things re-up their load. Okay. Boring. That's boring. That's boring. Let's take a look at the Tombfinger. Let's take a look at the Tombfinger. I think that this one is boring as well. Also boring. So I guess that's what it comes down to. The Gaze just has the best flare. The Gaze just hands down has the best flare out of all of them. I gotta rebuild you, baby. Wow, this is so dope. Regardless, let me know how you guys feel about all of these kit guns. Which ones do you enjoy the most? In fact, don't forget to toss down in the comments below if you have used I think it's called not the Rambler. What is it? You know, the other one that shoots like really, really fast. The full automatic one. Toss that in the comments below if you've used. Let me know your feelings on that one. But that about does it for me for now. That is my current collection, my suggestions on if you want to go ahead and rebuild certain things. And I guess, yeah, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo puppy. Look, like this one. Hi, pups. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye! He's been on my left this whole time, sleeping like an angel, and I woke him up specifically for that. Babes, I love you.